the digital forensics evidence presented by South African expert Calvin Rafadi. When a case reaches this level of a national importance, every document, every phone, every report, every witness must pass the highest legal test. So, because when we are talking about this, this is not just a mere person that is being put on trial. This is a very important person in the country. First, the issue of authentication is critical because when the document left South Sudan, the phones, computers, and all the items that were taken for forensics expertise or to be checked, there were no procedures followed, much procedures followed, and this is something that raised a lot of questions, critical questions, because authentication was really needed. If electronic devices were taken from South Sudan to South Africa for forensic examination, this process should have followed formal legal channel through mutual legal assistance and procedures involving ministries of justice, foreign affairs, embassies, and proper jurisdiction authorization. A foreign forensics report cannot simply appear in court without proper certification, notarization, and legal recognition. All these things were never done. We know very well that South Sudan is new, and even the judges have never done such a case in the life of their history. They have never done this. And we know very well that South Africa and South Sudan have no agreement of a forensics report to be done. There's no collaboration, there's no agreement of this. So there's a lot of things that were not followed in these forensics procedures. The court concerned the Rafadi report may have been submitted before full authentication is a serious issue. This thing is not just any court case that we need to joke around, jump this time, jump A or jump B. This one doesn't need the taught language everybody have been talking about. This one need evidence, critical evidence. This was what is needed. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. On this date, he did this. On this date, this was done. This was what we needed to be seen and also to be shown. But that never happened. So, if the report was not properly legalized before submission, the defense has very right to challenge its admissibility. And we all know during the procedures, the defense team were really beating up the other team to a level of they had to now close and denied South Sudanese to follow up what was going publicly, and they closed it and they took it to a closed door of procedures. Second, chain of custody is perhaps the most important issue. The court must know exactly who seized the phones, who took the phone from Dr. Riak, from the other 7 political accused. Who is this person? How did they take it from them? From which hands to which hands did these phones pass through before they reach to South Africa? Because there must be procedures to be followed before anybody comes out and said that there were reports to be given. Where they were stored before they reached to South Africa, or immediately they were taken from the owner, where were they put? Where were they stored? Who handled them? Who handled the phones? whether the evidence bags were sealed. We don't know. Where were they put? We need to see the procedure. And they were supposed to make sure that there is videos taken in every procedure that was going on. Whether the seals were broken. These are questions that we're asking ourselves. Because we were not there. We don't know who carried these documents. The phones, the laptops. We don't know. And whether any data could have been altered before analysis. We don't know. Because they were given the password also. So when they were given the first, anything can happen around there. Judge Jamie Salala concerned about possible tampering in not a small technicality. It goes to the heart of justice itself. Because if Judge Alali and the rest have to rule this court case, then they need to know 100% that this document were not altered, that the phones were not even in the wrong hands. So he have to confirm if this really happened. So there are more question marks that are still in upstairs. We don't know how, who, where, and all these questions. Just like South Sudanese are still asking themselves, is it true that Dr. John Garang actually accident was weather issue or something happened somewhere? So that question, South Sudanese still have it in their mind. We are still not yet convinced how Dr. John Garang plane crashed on 30th of July 2005 after 1 hour of taking off from Uganda using an helicopter, a Ugandan helicopter. So there's that question mark. Is it true? Is that report true? There's still that question. And this is the same question that Judge Alali is still asking himself because he was not there. And there's no clear evidence to show how the procedures of these documents were taken or the phones. If the chain of custody is weak, even genuine evidence can become unreliable. The chain. If you build your house with weak raw materials, there's possibility that the house will collapse. This is the same thing here. The chain of procedures is very weak. So any report that comes from Rafadi, a forensics investigation, is very weak because there is a lot of procedures that were not followed by the government of South Sudan itself before these documents arrived to Rafadi. We continue. Third, the qualifications and independency of the forensics expert matters greatly. Is this Rafadi a South African government expertise? This is a question we are asking ourselves. For Rafadi to qualify to be able to do the first vice president of South Sudan forensics report, or for him to analyze, to give us the report, how qualified is he? How many people have we ever give such a report to? So these are the questions that we ask ourselves. Is he a private forensics expert? Is he a government? So these are the questions we are asking ourselves. How qualified is Rafadi for him to reach to the level of him doing a forensics report to the first vice president of the Republic of South Sudan. This alone, if it's low, that means even the South Sudan government doesn't respect the sovereignty of its country. Because you cannot pick anybody and you put the South Sudan sovereignty into test. Because when we talk about Dr. Riek is not just Dr. Riek. He's the sitting first vice president of South Sudan. So when you are putting him to test, you need to know whatever you are testing is the sovereignty of the Republic of South Sudan. Because he carried that title. The Young Council of Elders see him like Dr. Riek, who is Anwer, but the government of South Sudan, the sovereignty of South Sudan, see him as one of the carrier of the sovereignty of the Republic of South Sudan. So these are two people that are seeing it differently. The country recognizes him as one of the person that protects the sovereignty of the Republic of South Sudan, but the other one that is jailing him see him as a mere tribe man who comes from the Nuer people. So this is the judgment, and this is the same mentality they were using when they were looking for this forensics expert. They went and picked the forensic expert of the Konyo Konyo of South Africa. We all know the Konyo Konyo of South Sudan. If you take your phone to be fixed in the Konyo Konyo of South Sudan, your phone will come back and will start shaking and having problems. This is the same thing. They went and picked a forensics expert in Konyo Konyo of South Africa and brought him to be the one to do that because he can be bribed and he can be taken this way. This is a case involving first vice president of a sovereignty state, South Sudan. Normally, such a matter will require a government accredited forensic laboratory and highly experienced expert witnesses. We need to know, is the government of South Africa aware how many South African government officials that were the same credited by Rafadi before making him qualify to come and do a forensic analysis to the sitting first vice president of Republic of South Sudan? And again, how many witnesses? Because when Rafadi do his report, Rafadi was supposed to give us witnesses. How many people confirm that what Rafadi actually analyzed is true and they have confirmed? Because when we talk about this, it's not a one-person job. It's not an individual job. But it's what? It needs witnesses. You're not dealing with a mere marriage case. No. Or such a simple one-person thing. This is a bigger case than anybody can think about. So one person without witnesses, he's nothing. So here, there's also a question of witnesses. So this part is also very weak because who confirmed? Because everything that happened must have a witness. When a lady dowry are being negotiated, a lot of people are being called so that they become witness to this dowry negotiation. So that one day when something happened, the dowry, they know that I was there, I was a witness of when 20 cows or 30 cows were paid. So who is the witness of this forensic analysis of Calvi Rafadi? Public testimony suggesting Rafadi had handled only a small number of prior cases raises legitimate question. Only 2. We were told he only handled 2 cases in the history of him becoming a forensics expert. Huh? A forensics expert. He only handled 2 cases. How can somebody that have only handled 2 cases, and these cases were small cases, how did he qualify to become the forensic expert to do an forensic analysis to first vice president of a sitting first vice president of Republic of South Sudan? There is a question mark there. What kind of expertise does he have? We are told he holds a diploma in cyber security. That is a diploma. He have a diploma, not a bachelor, not a master degree, not a PhD. He have a diploma in cyber security. This is the person they gave us to do a forensic report to who? To the sitting first vice president of South Sudan. That is putting South Sudan's sovereignty into a test. That shows also you are not respecting the sovereignty of Republic of South Sudan. You went and brought a konyo of South Africa, forensic expert, to come and do a South Sudan. No, it doesn't work. It's not making sense. It shows how weak. And we all know it was Benjamin Bolmel that went and did the drama. We all know how the drama happened to the level of where it's reached and Rafari was recommended. So it was a mere phone call and this and that. But we need to know the person that Rafari doing a forensic report to is a PhD holder. Imagine a PhD holder being his own funds to be analyzed by a person that have a diploma in cyber security. It doesn't work. A PhD holder who is a sitting first vice president and his document being examined by somebody who have a diploma in cyber security. Who is lying to who? Who is disrespecting who? Who should analyze whose documents? You see, it's so funny. You cannot bring a South African konyo of South Africa expert to come and do a forensic report to a PhD sitting first vice president of Republic of South Sudan. So he was an appropriate expert for such a high-stake prosecution. This case is beyond. He's beyond this case. He cannot. He's just a diploma. He just have a diploma. Even we have South Sudanese who are qualified than Rafadi, who could do this job better. But the government of South Sudan had a lot of money to send away. 450,000 US dollar were given to somebody that only have a diploma of cyber security. We had more qualified South Sudanese who can do this job, but you choose to throw away a whole $750,000 to somebody who is not even an expert, but a konyo of South Africa to come and disrespect the sovereignty of South Sudan. Another important question is whether the government of South Africa officially appointed or recommended Rafadi. Did the government of South Africa recommended Rafadi to the government of South Sudan? Because this is government versus government. It is not a private thing that I have to go and look for a private expert. No, it is government versus government. So did the South African government recommended Rafadi to the South Sudan government? No. According to my research, there was no recommendation, but our authentication by South African authority does not automatically mean state endorsement of the expert himself. They check And they realize, yes, this guy, he have a company and he have done 2 cases, but they did not recommend it to the South Sudan government that this person should be the person to do the forensic expert to the first vice president issue case. There is no clear public evidence showing that the South African government formally selected, recommended, and certified him as the forensic authority in this case. That one is not there. So that alone put another question mark. This distinction is extremely important because whatever we are dealing with, this is the first trial in the history of South Sudan. And nobody should joke with it. If no formal recommendation, letters exist from the South African government, the defense may argue that the prosecution relied on a private investigator rather than a state-certified forensic institution for one of the most sensitive political trials in South Sudan history. Did you hear that statement? Even more significant is Rafadi's own admission before court that he found no direct communication ordering attack in Nasser. Very important. Rafadi said, and he mentioned that according to his own 7 political detainees, he said there is no direct information that ordered the attack of Nasser. Instead, he referred only to real-time information sharing through WhatsApp. You see, sharing through WhatsApp. So you have to be very careful what you share sometime on your WhatsApp as a South Sudanese. What you share in your WhatsApp, you never know the day the government of South Sudan can come after you. So you have to be very careful what you share on your WhatsApp with other people. If anybody sends you an information, you have to check this information before you share it with another person. Or else you might be in court one day and the same information you shared unknowingly might be the one that put you in court for 10 years. So you have to be very careful as a South Sudanese, because the government we are dealing with is a government that doesn't know citizens. It's a government that knows that they want to stay in power for a long time, and they must make sure that whoever is an obstacle to them must be in prison. So that is something that is very important to the South Sudanese people. Instead, he referred only to real-time information sharing through WhatsApp. In criminal law, with the small knowledge I have, especially in charges as serious as treason and crime against humanity, indirect interference is not the same as direct proof. Indirect interference. There is direct that I've sent you and I've ordered you go and do this, and another one thing that is being shared. Because if it's being shared, then we were told that these phones were given to somebody that is unknown. We don't know who took the phones from these 7 political detainees and Dr. Riek, and the procedures until when they reach to South Africa. So within that time, maybe they could have shared this information. Somebody could have written some documents and shared them. So only shared information were found. There was no direct proof, only shared information. So maybe some people tamper with the phones and they share those information. So that is something that we are yet even to know. Because only who took this phone from the owners to the level they reach to the expert, that's the people that can tell us who share this information. Because if I am the one that is sharing, if I'm the one that is sending, then it will be shown that it was me. But if I'm sharing, it was shared. Shared by who? You see, there is something that raises a lot of question on this issue of Rafadi. Rafadi confirmed there was no direct proof that these were ordered, that people should have an attack in Nasser. So there is something that is very, very important in this case. Courts do not convict Constitution Office orders based on assumption. You cannot assume. We need evidence. On this date, you did this. And this is the proof. On this date, you did this. And we need proofs. We need proofs on this. We don't need to assume. We don't need to, like Rafadi was jumping up and down saying it was Dr. Riek, he did not manage to, I don't know, control his forces. Don't jump up and down, Rafadi. Give us evidence. This is what we need. We need hard evidence. So he came and said no proof. So that alone shows that he's going to base, or the government are going to base their ruling on assumptions. And this is something that is very important to the people of South Sudan. Because each South Sudanese voted for 2011 independence. For us to have a country today, individual South Sudanese voted. You voted either in America, in Australia, in Canada, in Kenya, in Uganda, wherever you are, we all voted for separation. For a country that today is being misused by individuals, is being destroyed by individuals, is being controlled by people that think they have a kingdomship in South Sudan. South Sudan is not a country that is being ruled by a king. No. Imagine for 21 years, this is 4 terms. 21 years is 4 terms of other leadership in other countries. In Kenya, after every 5 years, there is election. So 20 is 4 terms in Kenya. Imagine 4 presidents happened in Kenya when South Sudan were still having only 1 president, which even have not been elected. No, he's just there. Year in, year out, he will extend. Year in, year out, he will start a coup or a problem or what, so that it's continued. So they convict based on clear, lawful, and reliable evidence. And we are going to see on Monday, 27th April, if actually the judges we have in South Sudan are being politically driven, or they're really judged that understood what they went to study in school. And they can stand firm, swearing to those documents, those PhD holders or whatever they have. That is, we will see on Monday. This is why the judges' skepticism is not only justified but necessary. Justice must be seen to be done. Procedures is as important as substance. A weak process can destroy even a strong evidence. South Sudan deserves justice, not political disgust as justice. What we are having in South Sudan is a political disgust that is saying that it's justice. It's not justice. It's not justice, and we want to be justice as a country. If the prosecution case rests heavily on foreign digital forensic evidence, then that evidence must be clean, properly authenticated, professionally handled, and beyond reasonable doubt. Anything less will not strengthen the rule of law. It will weaken public trust in judiciary that they already actually did before. The people of South Sudan are watching. History is watching. And in a case of this magnitude, the law must speak louder than politics. In this case, the law must speak louder than politics. A case may travel for on paper, but it stands or falls on the truth of its footprints. Number one that you need to take out from today is the whole international community agreed that anything that have happened without the inclusion of the first vice president, Dr. Riek Machar, saying he is nothing and he's not working. So that is the statement they brought out today. The second thing is the forensic expertise hold a diploma in forensic expert in cyber security. That is second thing you need to take out. Like he was a private investigator. He's a private person. He was hired as a private, not as a government official or a government confirmed institution that does forensic expert. You also need to know he only handled 2 cases in his history of having that diploma of cyber security. He only have 2 cases, and how did he qualify to hold such a case like a case of first vice president of South Sudan that is in any human crime, treason, serious crimes? How can such a person do a forensic report? He hold a diploma and the person have a PhD. There's a lot of things that are not right. So the sovereignty of South Sudan have been put to test by the government of South Sudan. Let's listen to Gordon Kwang finish the song. Allow me to speak in Nuer because I already finished. I need to also send some information to the Nuer that don't speak English. Shemari malaka shengder malaka tiang. Boni kondi altitana ten. Minya Modi court case metwane kapaibangwan 2025. Ya go wale. And then ya go a last 71 session. And warar ko kaprayo ka shanga bemo shanga kayo ineni bemi shanga jendara wiya baraw kapayngwan 2026 teko tina gushko den court case foinde de rule they now become decision ken ke guilty ke guilty ken ya dwera mo ya la reken ke ka dwera mo ka la reken so mama kenyen shanga mo biben baru ba court case ba rule again. Mi dongi ba nga shaone forensic expert may anong take a scene it one that ten jan find the angane dan mewo wo telephone ni wonang kangani kaken ne dial te kon te ya wala ka forensic expert so take it one te yaro dialing and court case me yane ngash kon dialo ken yan ke basa ke oke nuari yana ngashbo oken panken yan ke ko ya gur abi kume Geneva Sudan ke bi Geneva Sudan betika mal yan ke ko gor ke tiel ke ray kume mente katin ken dial kel so no mo ema gorne bana ngash kon dial bana ku ben gwaene information me awe ka nuari ti konte kui kume ka akobo nuori ti kon te kui kume ka akobo ti kon ti ka murle lan ka kana ti ka oba na bi ka wenyenke kana re akobo e ya mwaza matode me yane ngashe o yi kume ke li yoroda gwas yi gad bargazali ka luina bargazal yi gad bor ka luina bor yi gad diali ka jeni ka luina gwali kien mo bia jen we are now no bia ngashe o door no we are no now ko yi ne diali ka jen en kume me yerode te tamadi yerode lingri rode kama we awe jeye bia gad kun wonyo naga nyo no mo door ko kwekele na ke kume mi ngadien ko kume ine to jentin ya ngashe kasare ni larke na je ekenji kume ya ngashe o kasare igato jen yo deini generally tito general bargazal ya gat kien diari aka wushe ke rei kor ka frontline yika loino dori kien ya ka withdraw no bi kula wush ke koro kule ti lere duor ka rodun yana rodun ke kule bane kule we bane kule musho ready koma yi kume ine ideal arodien within bi adotin kume ka jube ling ladene te kon milare obia jena bia na wa attack ka kobo ine ideali ke jentin ido ne yentin enwu ya miro ka mirna idealo bia mirne ka mirna ideal ma wi ajube wona ideatino ko ne ideal wo ke jube enwu ya we jube mo bia ile o tin toge enwu ni we instead bia we aka we na onyo no rei nuora ke rei ka akobo so no mo bia ngashe o kume yelo yakobo lakin ba ya mer ko bia o liu ka ba ne kunwo na bi shen kula do ka ngani bi shen do ka nuori ko yen tinana letke ko ba 40% ya lara ba nuora ba da ke 40% enye ni tika lada tinen jang council of elders lakin ya nene keno wala la liu ko nuori me ba shum ko liu point kene neni jena zaman matot kenan ya gat ken ya ka wush kodi ya nga ya ken bi gat ken liu ya gore ken bi gat ken liu gor keno ba nana kon ken le kamu she mari le mia mi donga one gate kon te ya nang division 4 me iwa ka unkur division 4 iwa ka unkur kaga nuora te je ka bentiu aya ko mo az matode me e otiate ke logad mari goa e otiate ke goa ko biate kel ke mori kun SSPDF uniform ye na tu mo bia ngor mo ko ya tu bia nga jo tu ye ke dor eni tu ne ye dor ko tende ni dia te ka tin mo biul go ana no bala jakena ga nuora mo mongu bi nuori kana nuori konte wo ye nuor kui kana nuor kui ye bi nuor utwo bi ka wuki ba tok dole kana di de dan larke ure dan abina ter kien kien ba kong mas ke sho nuora ko i nuori to ka i nuori de pen ko amier lo she mari na me 2026 ye 2013 me donga one nuori dial tete kui kume nuori dial tete kui kume kate ke exposition ni tiaje na ko yen amode dan mod kena win ne ni te kon me kaf ke ba kwen lwa ba tanke na nga blue house ba tanke yen shieni ye shublo wanti ba won ba ye wol motia ka dop te dere luong no dere run wosh ka jube wosh rodun kama tele dop bia nga se o kume salfaki la tu ne lwa ke la tu bi woka exile kume salfaki ye su ko ya o ba ye fol free so bia nga se o bia te jina o min mafi bia di lolwa bi kana ra me jien ka jube kala mo bia nga se o no matter what go ke nuor pe ni dia kutepe la wa irani pinkeni o irani pinkeni keima ya ka ngamte malar kana piu kena nyo lakin te ka malar kana ran te rama ke shang de te na madere la raga nuora shankel gwae o tiatika so biara dun dil guira o bia ngas jiskune ka te honga ka te shunga ka nyin kun te honga odi ote tamadit by a deal yen baku tuone la de ne sian ko nuore bane rodan kwen kwor o bane rodan kwen kwor yaku ben ka sharne kon county ni kon da wol bakel kon nuori any county mo ba kon mo ikenai da wol ka county ni kon da wol bakel every county ba kon mo ikagat ke da wol to go to ngashe odi ban kwanyo kwanyeken ga da wol to ba ke ba marka county ni kon da wol bakel dial bikala ne ita quarti jen bakel ne ita quarti jen bakel enke ne iti bi vote ka online ko voting balel ka online baneke muy ke paikel ene iti kon gor ka bila kwar ray nuora baneke muy ke paikel ka po darew te baler na campaign eken bika campaign ku ka campaign ka social media ku ka campaign ka ku bika jien wili to bika campaign edi bakula kenenti ba ngashe campaign dien balele di lakin after 1 month ke after 2 months bane election mo bane lady bane election mo bane je wo banelar and later to back register and registration and voting banenen online big vote online ke later di alto to bane kuran ne bin kon di alkel so jira mama gwi rodu de nuori de kalon ko de kalere duor and then from there birodu realaka kodi gorna jaramo betikarunte jandande gwi diech